Hi everyone, welcome to Sheldon's Master Kitchen. Today we have a really great treat. It's something that I came up with because we're in quarantine right now and I'm running out of ingredients. So today we're going to make apple streusel. I've really cut back on a lot of the ingredients in a traditional streusel simply because not a lot of people have the ingredients that it does call for. So we're going to make a simplified version, alright? So let's get started. Alright, so what you're going to need today is you're going to need some apples. The reason I decided this is because my apples are about to go bad, so I wanted to use them in some way. Then you're going to need an orange. You don't have to use the orange. I just like to have the citrus in there just for a little bit of kick. You're going to need a stick of butter, melted. You need some old-fashioned oats. I use the steel old-fashioned oats, like the steel ground. You can use those. And then you'll need cooking spray. A fourth cup of brown sugar and some cornstarch. If you don't have cornstarch, you can use flour. If you don't have either of those, it's okay. It just kind of binds the juices whenever you're getting them together. So, let's get this all together. You're going to take your apple, and it's really simple. You just cut it in half, and then cut that half into a quarter. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your knife, and I like to use this rectangular knife because you can angle it better. It's a lot easier. You just take it, and if you cut it at an angle, like a 45-degree angle, it'll core it. Then just flip it over, and you're going to cut it in just a thin little pieces, and then throw them into a bowl that you have prepared, okay? So I'll show you that again. You're going to take it in 45-degree angle, cuts the core out, and this way you don't waste a lot of the apple. If you use like one of those apple cores, it cuts out a lot of the apple, and it's not, I don't know, it's not as fun, it's not as rustic. So just continue to do that. Alright, I'm going to continue cutting apples and we'll be right back. Alright, so we have our apples all cut, they're in this bowl. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take an orange, and what you're going to do is you're going to roll it, just like this. And that releases the juice, you'll feel it get a little softer. I'm going to cut it in half. This is a big orange. If you have like a smaller orange, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to go and put this in here. It helps give a little freshness to it. I find that a lot of times when you do baked things like apple pie or anything of that nature, it tends to get a little too earthy for me. And so adding just a little bit of that citrus just livens it up a little bit. It's not like it's not very overpowering, especially when it's baked. So I really enjoy that. Now, this is optional. You don't have to do this. I just find putting a little bit of cornstarch, about a tablespoon, over it, and just with your hands toss them around. This is optional, and you can also use flour if you have flour and don't have cornstarch. What I find is if you do this before you bake, it kind of thickens up the juices that are released when baking. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take, I don't have a lot of apples, so it's not going to make a big one, so I'm just using a loaf pan, and I'm going to spray it with a little bit of cooking spray. I have the one that has flour mixed in. I just like that it doesn't make anything stick, which is great. So you can either do one of two things. One, you can take each individual slice and put them in all like beautiful. I don't do that, mostly because I'm lazy and I really want my treat now. So just toss them in, almost to the top. You can push them down. These are going to cook down, so keep that in mind. So my rule of thumb is if you think it's going to take 5 apples to do this, go ahead and cut 6, just in case, especially if you have small apples. And then just dump whatever left of this juice in, because that's flavor and it's also that cornstarch. So, got that in there. You want it kind of even because you're going to put the streusel or the crumb topping on top. Alright, so for the crumb topping, I'm just using the same bowl. It does not matter. It doesn't have anything that's going to hurt the flavor of it. You're going to take your oats. It's about a cup of oats. And then you're going to take your melted butter. Just put that in there. Okay, and then your brown sugar, 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar goes in there. It seems like a lot, but it really does help develop all the flavors, and it flavors those oats too. Just mix it up with your spatula, and it's going to be a little crumbly, which is what you want. It's gonna absorb some of that butter, but still have a little integrity to it. You don't want to make oatmeal, you just want to make a little crumb, and it's also gonna crisp up quite a bit when you stick it in the oven. Just mix that up. Now come over here, I'm going to show you how this goes onto your streusel. So here we have our apples in our little pan. You can see it's not perfectly uniform, which is totally fine. You can see some coming out. It's totally fine because when it bakes, it's going to break down. So you're going to take your prepared streusel and you're just going to stick it right on top in a little clump. Okay? You're just going to take all of it and put it all around. So let me just finish out putting this streusel on. Honestly, there's no really rhyme or reason in terms of what it needs to look like. Just get it all on there. Make sure that everything's coated. It's going to be the protective seal on the apples so that once it's baked, everything is beautiful. And sometimes you'll get too much on one side, like I just did. Just grab some and move it over to the next side. Okay? Super simple. That's all you have to do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to throw this into a 400-degree oven for about 30 minutes, and then we'll check on it. If the top of the streusel seems like it's a little crispy, but there's no bubbles coming up, because that's the juice coming up, then what you want to do is we're going to cover it, but we'll take a look and see how ours turns out, okay? Alright, so we just pulled out our apple streusel from the oven. It is piping hot. The crust is perfect, and then the apples have been bubbling. But you can tell already that the sauce is going to be thick, so it won't fall apart and ooze all over your plate. Serve this up with a little bit of homemade vanilla ice cream, or you can do a little whipped cream. Either way, it is going to be the perfect treat when you're here in quarantine and you need to lift your spirits up. Like I said, this is a simple dish. It was just apples, a little bit of brown sugar, and some oats, and then a little bit of butter. 4 ingredients is really all you need. I added some citrus in it just to liven it up. If you don't have citrus, that's fine. So make sure that you like and subscribe to this video and all other socials with Sheldon's Master Kitchen to stay up to date with great content. Have a great day.